So I'm Christopher. We run a tax payroll bookkeeping service service company here in Rio Grande Valley, Texas. This is our Why Coffee Break. This is a webinar series where we provide resource information for businesses. Now it froze. Now, this is our week 3. We already discussed the previous topics from the moving of the tax deadline on week 1. Then week 2, we discussed about the paycheck protection program. We also discussed the employee retention credit and COVID-19. On week 3, we are going to cover the economic injury disaster loan. And it is divided in 2 parts. We have the $10,000 grant and the regular EID loan. We will talk what are the differences and what are the terms. Now, for those of you, after this presentation, you are welcome to download the free PDF. If you miss, you just have to go to our website, www.wicotax.com, click the free PDF, and then it will show you the different past webinars, the summary of the past webinars we have, the tax deadline changes, the paycheck protection program versus employee retention credit versus COVID-19 paid leave. These are summaries of the legislations of the regulations. And as of today, the PDF is already available. This is the economic injury disaster loan. This presentation, you could get it for free, okay? Just go to free PDF download to wicotax.com. And for those of you that have more specific questions about this topic, please just text our number and just type here, call me now, okay? With an exclamation point, but make sure to put a smiley so we know that you're not mad, okay? No, I'm just kidding. So just put call me now and then space your name and text it to 956-425-WICO. For our week 4, we will have an upcoming webinar. On April 23, we called it the Debt Relief Program. I need to, okay. It's not moving. Okay. That's why you just go to the website and get this free PDF. Just a disclaimer before I continue, this material has been prepared for informational purposes only. It is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, or accounting services. Okay. Then Why Coffee Break is a webinar series of WICO Tax because just like you, your tax needs a break. Our outline for today, we're going to cover the economic injury disaster loan. What are the terms and agreement? What is the difference of $10,000 grant and regular EID loan? From eligibility, the terms, where to apply, the amount, interest rate, security or collateral, if there's any personal guarantee, payment deferral, and forgiveness, if there are fees, loan availability period, how are you going to use it or where are you going to use it? What are the prohibitions, notes, then what are the updates? And lastly, we will do a question and answer. And we are very fortunate today because this is not a one-man show. I have my accountant with me who is also participants. I'm the one doing the presentation, but my accountant is doing the paperwork for our company because like you, we are also affected. And he is the one dealing with all the SBA agents, all the bankers, where our clients, we already submitted some of the COVID-19 business relief from to the SBA, to the IRS, to the state. So we are all working with them. And we make it easier to submit all those documents since we are doing the tax payroll bookkeeping of our clients. It's easy for us to provide those information to the third party. All right, so all those questions, he will join us in a while during the presentation. Okay, the definition. What is economic injury disaster loan, or EIDL? The EIDL, this is a low interest fixed rate loan that can be provide up to 2 million in assistance for small business that can be used to pay immediate expenses during an emergency. Then what is the EIDL forgiveness or advance? Grant up to $10,000. The CARES Act creates a new $10 billion grant program leveraging on SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance infrastructure to provide small business with quick, much needed capital. In other words, guys, the economic injury disaster loan is like the mother, okay? This is the mother, and the forgiveness or advance of 10,000 is the baby. Because let's say when the disaster happened, when the pandemic happened, a lot of applicants need money right there and then. Because if you're going to process the EIDL, it will take weeks to be approved. So what they said, the legislation said, you know what? They need money. Let's just advance the $10,000. Within 3 days, it should be given. And that is the main difference of the EIDL, the grant, versus the EIDL loan or the EI disaster loan. Next. What is the eligibility for the EIDL? The eligible individuals are self-employed, independent contractors, sole proprietors, and businesses. If you are a freelance, you're receiving 1099, you don't have a boss, you work for yourself, you work at home, you guys are qualified to apply this grant or the program. For the forgiveness, it's also the same individuals, independent contractors, sole proprietors, businesses, whether you are LLCs, S corporation, C corporation. The only limitation is you need to have less than 500 employees. Farm enterprises are not eligible. Then when did it start? When can you apply, or if you're qualified, if your business started on January 31 this year. Also, nonprofit can apply. Now, what are the terms? For the economic injury disaster loan, this is up to 30 years. But the forgiveness advance, 10,000, there's no payment plan because like what I've said, this is advance forgiveness. You don't have to pay it. You don't have to submit any documents. You're good to go if you are approved. But the root word, guys, is up to 10,000. It's not guaranteed that they will give you the 10,000, but they can just give you as much as 10,000 in advance. Now, can I apply this by myself? The answer is yes. You can just go on their website. This is the SBA.gov website. All you have to do is fill out and answer basic information pertaining to yourself and pertaining to your business. I think I have to unmute. Let me manage. Okay. Juan, I have to unmute you because I have some question. Can I unmute Juan? Okay, never mind.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Con from Wycotax.
How many pages do they have to fill out for this for loan application when they go to the SBA website?
Okay. So on the website of SBA, there is a link so you can easily access this economic injury disaster loan. And that loan right now, it is only 5 steps, so 5 pages, where you would put in, of course, the business entity's information, like as name, as, I'm sorry, Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's gonna be your name, your information, like employer identification number and such, and it's gonna be a total of 5 pages, total steps, so you can submit that final economic injury disaster loan with the SBA link on their website.
Another question: do they accept the social
Yes.
security number if they don't have the employer's identification number?
Yes, like in reference to sole proprietor, since they may not have an employer identification number, then the social security will be inputted on that area. So
Okay.
yes, as a sole proprietor applies for this loan, then it would be his social security be inputted on the business ID number. So
Okay.
yes.
And then when they submit, there's a submit button. There's no other attachment. They don't need to attach their business registration, correct?
No, right now it is very easy. The SBA has done a very good job at making it easy and accessible for applications and new applicants to submit it. So no attachments are needed. Just fill in the information and press the submit button at the very end, and the application will be submitted.
Okay, that's good. All right, thank you, Juan. Now we're gonna go, what is the amount? For the economic injury disaster loan, originally, okay, this is interesting. Originally, it is set up to $2 million, but it could be capped at $15,000. There is a reason why they have to scale down. Now, for the forgiveness advance, they said, we are gonna give up to $10,000, but no, you know what? This week, they actually changed it. I think this week or last week that they did change. We're not gonna go for up to $10,000, but we will base it to $1,000 per employee. And this is the problem that I've seen. Okay, there is a little conflict right there, because the forgiveness or advance, you're not asking for any documents, okay? Because this is a fast cash. Now, and it's not just meant for employee. Now they go back to their drawing board and they will just set it $1,000 per employee, where in fact on the article on the bill it says it is not just intended for employee. So that is why it keeps changing every now and then, every week. Now instead of up to $10,000, they will only allow $1,000 per employee. So it leads more questions than, because on the ongoing presentation, the interest rate for the EIDL is 3.75 for businesses, and for nonprofit is 2.75. Now, the EIDL forgiveness advance grant up to 10,000. There, like what I've said, you don't have to pay anything back because it's just a grant or free money. In terms of the security and collateral, when it is more than $10,000, what we previously mentioned, unsecured up to 25,000 loans, let's say you will apply for 25,000, loans of over 25,000 will need to give the SBA access to collateral. But it does not mean that you need to have your loan collateralized. But if you have collateral, it will be used. It's just optional. It says here, if it's less than 25,000, we don't need anything from you. We don't need any assets from you, you're good. But if it's more than 25,000, if only you can give something to us as a business, I don't know, like the printer, if you own your car, your printer, your furniture, anything that's inside the office maybe can be used as an optional collateral. Next, personal guarantee. For the economic injury disaster loan, no personal guarantee for loan amounts up to $200,000. For the forgiveness, no, you don't really have to have collateral. The payment deferral, economic injury disaster loan, 1 year, interest will continue to accrue over this period, which means to say, if you got approved for the economic injury disaster loan by May, okay, by May, you will not start paying for this year. It will start by next year. Is that correct, Juan?
Yes, Chris. So right now, for the loan, you won't have to make the initial payment for 1 year. So the first payment will be 1 year whenever you get accepted for this loan, and that's when the automatic payments are going to be set up, and of course the interest will start to accrue after the first payment. So yes, right now there is a 1 year gap between whenever you receive the loan and when you already have to start paying it back.
I see. So in other words, if I got approved for my loan, let's say May 1, 2020, I will not start paying the amount until May 1, 2021. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. But do we have to apply for this? Like, hey, you know what? I don't want to pay at this point. I would like to pay next year. Do we have to pay? Do we have to apply for that, or it's automatically going to?
No, Chris. It is already automatic, already how the loan is already set up for the repayment. So you would already be automatically have to pay up the first payment 1 year from the date that you are approved and given the initial disbursement of that loan.
Well, that's good. Okay, that's now next. What is the turnaround time? Economic injury disaster loan. This will last 3 to 6 weeks, provided that all documents are completed and submitted, like tax return, right? Profit and loss, whatever expenses you have. So the turnaround time they're saying is 3 to 6 weeks. On the other hand, for the grant or for the advance, usually 3 business days. But this did not occur during the week of March 30 to April 3. Did we apply on between this date, March 30? So during March 30 and April 3, if you apply on that date, you will not get it on 3 business days, right?
Yes. So initially that was the plan. I know that SBA was giving these advances on the loans, and they were going to be having about 3 business day turnaround. So you can receive this grant, but with the amount of volume of applicants, it is taking longer. So in the initial applications, they have not received this initial grant yet because of the amount of applications. But this advance will be given first before the actual disaster loan is approved or given an amount that you qualify for the loan.
Okay, nice. All right. So we're still waiting our advance. Okay.
Yes, a
Now,
lot of advances are still waiting.
yeah, we're still waiting ours. Okay, the forgiveness. For the economic injury disaster loan, there's no forgiveness. But here on the advance, applicants shall not be required to repay advance payments even if subsequently denied for an EIDL loan. Okay, there is a chance for them to be approved for the grant but not for the loan, right?
Yes. So right now, the advances, they're gonna go ahead and give you the advance, and this advance, since it does not have to be repaid, but whenever you are already given the advance, whenever they later on a couple of weeks later, let's say they already contact you, the SBA agent, and they offer you a loan, it is already to each business's discretion if they want to accept this loan or not, even if they already received that advance.
Okay, so this only happens when they ask for more than $10,000. That's what I know, right?
Yes, it's gonna be at the excess of the 10,000, then that's gonna be the applicable loan that they're gonna want to, offer you.
Yeah, anything in excess after $10,000 would fall under EIDL. Okay, once you're done with 10,000, then you go, let's say another 10,000, then that is the one that will take 3 to 6 weeks. And that is either, this is gonna be the discretion of the SBA officer if they see that there's no validity in terms of the documents, whether you don't have enough receipts, you don't have enough reports to justify the claims for the expenses, correct?
Yes, it's also the SBA that they're going to see if the business is able to repay this loan. That's also, they're going to take that into account for the actual disaster loan.
Okay. Now, in terms of the fees, there's no SBA fees. For the EIDL forgiveness, you don't have to pay any fees. There's no extra charges at the same time with the EIDL. Now, the loan availability period, which means to say the duration that you can apply, it's from January 31 to December 31. The same thing with the EIDL. Okay, the thing is, this is a first come, first serve basis, and we will show you the numbers of what is the exact budget that is allotted for the grant. And you will be surprised about the situation. Now, for the usage, this is what we are talking about. How is it different from other type of loan? For the forgiveness or advance grant up to 10,000, this can be used for providing paid sick leave to employees. This is what we covered last week. Maintaining payroll, meeting increased costs to obtain materials, making rent or mortgage payments, and repaying obligations that cannot be met due to revenue losses. For the EIDL, if it's more than 10,000 that you are asking, this should be allotted for paying the fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that can't be paid because of the disaster's impact. It does not cover lost sales. This is what I was referring to when they said this week, okay, we're gonna just base it on $1,000 per employee. If I have 10 employees, I'm okay because I can get the maximum amount of the money, the free money, 10,000. But what if I don't have employees? Where is going to be the basis at this point? Because according to your to the SBA website, it says making rent or mortgage payments. They did not specifically says that is just exclusively for maintaining payroll. That is where the conflict happens. So that's why on the upcoming days we will check if they will figure this out, because it doesn't justify the content of what they proposed before on the bill. Now, the prohibitions for the main limitation for the economic injury disaster loan, it cannot be used to pay off existing debt. Okay? If you have existing debt, don't show it to your banker or don't show it to the SBA agent. Hey, you know what? We will use this money, the $10,000 for our building, the mortgage payment we have for the building, for the furnitures, because it doesn't work that way. Now, what are the notes? For the cash advance for the grant can get the grant even if you don't qualify for EIDL loan. Now, for the EIDL, it's okay for business to be less than 1 year old. Loans can be made based solely on the credit scores. This and farming enterprises are not eligible. And this is one good thing about this is they are more lenient. They don't base, do they base it, Juan, on your financial record for the past years, or credit score will just do will just meet the qualification itself?
Yes, so right now the loans are being based on the numbers on 2019 for your business. That's how they're gonna base off if they're gonna go ahead and approve you and how much the amount they're gonna approve you for the loan. Now, if your business is new, you can qualify if your business did start before February 2020.
Go outside or go play. There's no iPad time.
So right now they are basing it on the loans, on the businesses that did have their numbers on based on 2019 income and expenses. And of course, the new businesses that just started, they'll base it off their numbers on, let's say, December when they started or January when they started.
Okay, so they still have the basis. That's the reason why they're giving, if you started in January, we can base it for those first quarter of the year.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, when you go to the website, this is what Juan was referring. You click the SBA.gov, and then this is going to give you the business information you have to provide, and then additional information, then the summary. So SBA is collecting the requested information and able to make the loan under SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program to the qualified entities listed in this application. The applicant understands that the SBA is relying upon the self-certifications contained in this application to verify that the applicant is an eligible entity to receive the advance. And the applicant is providing this self-certification under penalty of perjury. You need to have this check at the end. Then this is the eligible entity verification. All you have to do, you have to click which one applies to you. Applicant is a business with not more than 500 employees. Number 2, applicant is an individual who operates under a sole proprietor with or without employees or as an independent contractor. If you're a DBA, yes, you can actually click this. Then if you're a cooperative, you click box 3. Then if you're ESOP or the employee stock ownership plan, you have to click any of this. Applicant is a tribal small business concern. This is like Native Americans. Now, the next step, what I did last night while preparing this presentation, I was just curious how soon or how accurate their website or efficient. Are they still accepting applications? Now, when you go to the website after this presentation, go to disaster loan assistance, and this is what they had on their have on their website. It says that the SBA is no longer able to accept the new EIDL COVID-19 applications at this time based on available appropriations funding. And we will explain why. Right now, it's currently unavailable. It says here that the notice, they have lapsed in appropriations. SBA is unable to accept new application at this time based on available appropriations funding. Applicants who have already submitted their applications will continue to be processed on a first-come, first-served basis. That's why please complete all the documents as soon as you can to get the funding available for those who are applying more than $10,000. Then what your other options, if this is not available, try to consider the PPP, the Paycheck Payroll Protection Program. For some reason, my screen is having delays. Okay, now, what are the updates? According to Washington Post, because this is what happened this week, about half of the US small business surveyed applied for an EIDL loan and grants as of April 9. According to the National Federation of Independent Business, none had received any funds as of that date. Demand for the EIDL loans and grants quickly overwhelmed. It overwhelmed the system, leaving many applicants without funds weeks later. Democratic lawmakers and industry groups said that the SBA, which accepts disaster loan applications, they did it themselves rather than outsourcing that work to banks. And they have received well over 3 million applications, a Democratic lawmaker and an SBA official said. A shortage of funds threatens to limit the size of grants and loan small businesses receive. And for our study, this is the number of business owners. If you're going to see, look on this orange, the total number of business owners are almost 35 million business owners in United States. We have 23 million, close to 23 million for sole proprietor. This is partnership. And the orange here are the corporations, okay? If we're going to add them up, they are roughly 35 million business owners, okay? Now, this is the visualization on the funding of the CARES Act. They allotted 2.3 trillion budget. And where is the grant? This is the 230 billion, okay? Now, we are going to do the math. So based on the census of the business registrants, business owners in United States are close to 35 million. If all of them, let's assume all of them are going to apply for the 10,000, that is a $350 billion grant, where in fact the allotted grant is only 230 billions. So therefore, there will be a deficit amount of 120 billions. Even if we assume that the 35 millions are not qualified, even just let's say only 70% or 80% applied, we are still going to be on deficit. Because why? The economic injury disaster loan, that's why what they did, before is instead of up to 10,000, let's put some fraction. It's like a big piece of the pie. Let's put some fraction. Instead of up to 10,000, we're only going to do $1,000 per employee. Okay? Then before it was originally set, a business owner can apply up to 2 million, but now it will be capped up to $15,000. Okay? So if you're lucky, the maximum amount that you can get for the free money is 10,000 plus additional $5,000. So 15,000 is the maximum amount that we are looking at this point. And the usage will always be the same. That's why the 10,000 should always be what? Meet other expenses aside from payroll, meeting increased cost to obtain materials. These are only limited to this expenses. And the same thing with the EIDL, the payroll accounts and other bills that can't be paid because of the disaster's impact. It does not cover lost sales. So now, this is the overview of the presentation that we have, because if you're going to look on the CARES Act, it's already included on the PDF, a visualization on the business owner's perspective. Let's look at on the overall. Because I know we don't have the budget for the 230 billion is almost maxed out. Now, there are other loans, that is the PPP, the Paycheck Program Protection Program. They have 875 billion in that area. And the tax breaks on the IRS, there's $300 billion allotted. And even the state and municipalities. So what I do recommend to everybody is you need to access the other benefits that for this business relief. Okay, you just go to the IRS website, go to the SBA, and even to the state of Texas. State of Texas is also giving the shared work program where they pay, I think they pay a percentage of the amount of the payroll, not more than 40%. So if you're paying $10,000 monthly, they can cover from 10 to 40% of that payroll, okay? Now, as a company, WICO Tax is an all-in-one tax payroll bookkeeping service solution. We try to extend our hands to reach out to our existing business clients. That's why we are providing the business relief packet. Because this can be overwhelming, especially if the law keeps on changing. So what we are doing, since most of this, from tax breaks, loans, grants, they all require documents like tax returns, payroll, profit and loss. We can provide that, submit the necessary documents. We are also the one, WICO Tax will also be your navigator to fill out the application in any areas that is possible for you to receive the grant. Then at the same time, if you're a business owner, the greatest challenge right now is keeping up with your clients. Like personally, we experience a drop on the number of clients because most of our clients are what? Walk-ins. They go in person. So what's going to happen, our job, my job as a business owner, is to provide much services in virtual. But some of our clients are traditional. They prefer to go to our office. So my goal is to help them to become easier to reach out using our virtual services. So therefore, that's why I have my accountant, Juan, who's taking care of all the reliefs that we can possibly get. And that's why even email communication with my banker and with the SBA agent, we are the one taking care of that if you will be our client. Then we also going to provide computations for different relief that are being offered right now with this, with the government program. In other words, we will be your right hand to navigate all the possible relief. If there are grants stopped right now, as you can see on the SBA website, we will work on the loan through your banker. After that, we will consider the tax breaks. To the federal, we have employee retention credit. We have the COVID-19 leave. There is also to the state, the employee shared work program. So all of those we would try to help as much in able to save you money and at the same time to give you the maximum benefits. Because at the end, we will also provide computations for different relief. In other words, we will be your right hand. You will take care of your customers and WICO Tax will take care of your numbers. Because the bottom line of all of these documents relay how accurate your financials are. And at this point, one lawyer, Jason Reisman, said, no one can be an expert on this new law and its intricate provisions, so it's much better that you have to communicate early and often. That is why, at this point, we are giving the 20% off. If you want us to take care of all this processing from the COVID-19 relief, we are giving 20% off if we will do your taxes. If you have done your books yet, we are the one going to do it for you because like what I've said, this is a first come, first serve basis. And we will submit, if you will allow us, to submit it to the IRS, to the SBA, to the state, county, city relief if they are if they do have any program for this, the COVID-19 relief program. This 20% off is just valid within 24 hours after this presentation. So until tomorrow, we can only authorize or we can only honor the 20%. Okay, so now that is the snapshot and the summary of our presentation. If you missed the copy or this presentation, feel free to download a free PDF for you to access all the webinars that we presented since week 1. Okay, and the past webinars, just go to the website, wicotax.com and text us at 956-425-WICO. And our upcoming webinar, we will have a debt relief program. This is, we will talk about how can you apply for a 6-month relief of not paying your mortgage if it's an SBA guaranteed loan from 10 to 11 a.m., same day. Okay, this is just, I want to leave this to you because right now that the SBA is not accepting grants, for maybe some of you don't know that the city where you live, there is what you call the Economic Development Corporation. I really strongly suggest if you can call them, the Economic Development Corporation, they are also giving grants, either for job creation and grant loans, infrastructure grant loans, capacity building projects, small business grants. So maybe we can actually knock on their doors. Do they have any availability? Do they have any contingent budget for this current situation? Whatever city you have, they have an EDC hotline or they have an EDC department that can answer your questions. And maybe, hopefully, maybe the board members of the EDC at every city could also provide some either rent subsidy, either for the payment of the other cost. Because while we are waiting for the SBA or other project on the federal, on the higher level, maybe each city can contribute something to the community. And besides, they have a specific and allotted budget for this. So maybe they can redistribute these funds to what we need at this point. Okay? So I hope you guys learned something today. And for the updates, the resources are the website. We are all going to send this through your email as long as you request us. The background of the company, we have 2 locations and we're established on 2015. We are an all year round, all-in-one tax payroll bookkeeping service solution. We have an accountant and we also have an IRS certified acceptance agent, certified QuickBooks expert, and any questions, you are welcome to call us because we are worry-free, year-round, competitive and on-time tax payroll bookkeeping service solution. Please check us online about our credibility. If you think we're capable enough to handle your finances, feel free to check us first because as of this point, we are the highest rated reviews for financial services, for tax payroll and bookkeeping. Okay, now we will open our, I'm gonna unmute, or I think this has an option to get some questions not to unmute everybody. Hold on, let me see. If you have questions, you can either type it to the box or you can ask us right now by unmuting your tab. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get used with this. Okay. Okay, we will go to the chat box. Okay, there's a chat. All right, I think this is for you, Juan. They cannot hear us. Did they cannot hear us? Okay. Let me unmute everybody. I think it's... Okay, all participants are unmuted, so anyone can ask questions. Let me see the Facebook Live. Okay, call me. All right, we will call when we have someone who messaged us. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you learned something today, and if you have more questions, feel free to contact us, and we are just right here. Okay, we're still working.
Yes, we're assisting still on applications, not just the economic injury grant, but there's also many other applications for business relief. It's a great way to keep on going, even though this disaster is happening. But a lot of businesses have these opportunities, so they can, of course, continue business, continue with employees, continue operations, because we all know that expenses, they keep coming, but we need to, stay strong with a firm grasp of our business and to maintain until this is over.
All right. Thank you, Juan. Thank you for being part of the presentation. And I know you're the best man in the job. Okay.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
All right, guys. I hope to see you next webinar. It's going to be next Thursday from 10 to 11 a.m. Have a good day. Bye.